got 3 items on our agenda. Before we start, though, Commissioner Parks has someone to recognize in the room.
I am delighted to introduce my new Chief of Staff. She is Sonia Taylor. She comes to us from the Boys and Girls Club. So if you'll stand up or wave or something, Sonia. Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
I'm glad you're here.
All right. So the first item is a presentation regarding the Imagination Library. And so I'm going to turn it over to the Vice President of the Commission, Commissioner Summer Dumas, to talk about her interaction with the group and then have the group come up and present.
Thank you, Madam President. I met with this group at Children's Hospital a couple weeks ago, and I was just so impressed of the effort that they are doing to try to reach our young children from age birth really up until 5 years old. So, and we know we've always said reading is fundamental, and it certainly is. And I'm a strong advocate that if we truly believe that, then we need to put our money where our mouth is. You know, that our budget should reflect how important this is. And so we were given a few books, examples. You may not be able to see it on television, that are given out, that every young person will get a book once a week, correct? Once a month. And so here's one. They're beautiful, beautiful books. And then they gave me one that looks like me, maybe 50 years ago. So thank you for bringing examples. They're beautiful, colorful books. So, and I also brought up at the meeting that if you maybe have a parent that maybe has very simple wording in here, but there are interventions and ways to be able to go to the library or to the classroom and have these books read to young people if they might not necessarily have anyone at the home. So I'm not going to belabor it. I'm not going to introduce a whole bunch of people, but I remember meeting all you guys at the meeting. So just come forth and let the community know what you're doing.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us some time today to address a very important topic, which is basically reading with kids. So we know that the first 5 years of life is a critical period.
Who you are.
Oh, I am Greg Shumlas. I'm a primary care pediatrician at Children's Hospital. I spend most of my time in clinics seeing children, checkups, sore throats, all the basic stuff, and the really fun part of my job is our literacy promotion programs. And I have with me our coordinator, Tiana Henry, who makes everything happen. So as we're saying, we know that the first 5 years are so critical even before a child gets to kindergarten. And we also know that one of the most powerful tools caregivers can have to get their children ready for kindergarten is simply reading and sharing books at home. And we know that it's never too early to start. So we're trying to get all parents sharing and reading books at home from birth so that they can get their kids ready and set for kindergarten. So to help parents share books at home, we have a couple programs at Children's Hospital. Overall, we call our program Prescription for Reading, which is actually a combination of 2 really well-known national programs, Reach Out and Read and the Imagination Library. The Reach Out and Read part is the part that happens in the clinics, and then the Imagination Library kind of continues things on in the home. So the whole aim of Reach Out and Read is just to make literacy promotion a part of primary care. And at Reach Out and Read clinics, what we do before we go in the room for a checkup, we just grab a new age-appropriate book. And then during the checkup, when we're talking about immunizations and growth and brushing your teeth, all the other topics we cover, we also talk about reading. And we not only talk about the importance about reading, we use the book as a tool to show the parent how to read effectively with that age child. So hopefully when they leave our clinic, they're not only have the motivation to read, they really know how to do it with their child at home. And Reach Out and Read has been around nationwide since '89. We've had it in Cincinnati since '98, and we're really lucky in Cincinnati because we have a really vibrant Reach Out and Read community. So Reach Out and Read tends to operate in teaching institutions and clinics that reach the underserved. So we not only do Reach Out and Read at our 3 primary care clinics at Children's Hospital, but also all the Cincinnati Health Department clinics, the Lincoln Heights clinics, WinMed, most of the federally qualified health centers that reach the underserved in the area, including the teaching programs at Christ, Bethesda, and UC. And currently we have about 26 clinics in Cincinnati that participate in the program. The other half is the Imagination Library, which I think Tiana passed out a few books. So the Imagination Library is a book delivery program and promotes reading by getting books in the home. So Dolly Parton started this program in her hometown. She found it was a big success and kids were doing better in kindergarten, so it spread nationwide. So basically, anybody enrolled in the program will get a book mailed directly to the home once a month from their time of enrollment, which can be birth, until their 5th birthday. So they developed this amazing library of 60 books, which are all very carefully selected. There's different books for different ages, so that as you go through the program, they grow with the child. And also the books contain usually some reading tips in there to help the parent interact with the child. So, like I said, we've had Reach Out and Read since 1998, and we were very happy with our program until some funders came in and wanted to do a pilot of the Imagination Library, but they didn't know how to reach kids or kind of how to execute the program. And we were very happy to say, we know how to reach these kids, and we think this would be an amazing combination. So really the idea is we combine Reach Out and Read and all the touch points with families in a trusted environment with all this flood of books at home. So hopefully the combination of the two programs will be more effective than one or the other alone. We started the program in July of 1995. And for the pilot, the program is only available for children living in the Cincinnati Public School District. So when we see a child in our clinics and we're talking about reading, if they lived in Cincinnati, we also signed them up for the Imagination Library. So since July of 2015, we've had over 16,700 children come through the program as they graduate at age 5. We currently have 11,000 active enrollees. We've sent over 450,000 books to home, and again, with our reading advice at every visit, we've touched children at more than 120,000 visits over the years. Now, with our pilot program, there was also funded an evaluation piece. And what we've been looking at is the kindergarten readiness scores of the children in the program as they get to school. And in particular, we've been looking at the literacy component of the kindergarten readiness test, where you can be on track or not on track. And what we've seen over the past 3 years is that the children in our program entering kindergarten have increased the on-track and literacy rate by 15.4% over the 3 years. This is still kind of an evaluation in process, but we're very confident that these numbers are a significant difference. If we compare them to Cincinnati Public School as a whole, you can see in the first year when our program had just started that the children graduating from our program really were 15% behind in the on-track in literacy. And over the 3 years, while the district has increased a few percent, our children have dramatically increased and are still a little bit behind, but certainly catching up. Now, you might have heard a little bit of buzz about the Imagination Library because Fran DeWine knows and loves the Imagination Library and has made it her mission to spread the Imagination Library throughout the whole entire state. So we have taken on the charge of expanding our program from just the city of Cincinnati to all of Hamilton County, which is really exciting for us because I see children every day in clinic that I haven't been able to enroll in this program. So now in the clinics we can open it to everybody else. And also all the other people that live in the county, because really everybody can benefit from the Imagination Library. In addition to our scores going up, we know that by talking with parents and from some of our surveys that there's also a lot of other changes going on in the home. We talk to families who never really had reading as an activity at home, who now say they regularly do story times at night. We hear stories where children are always bringing the books to their parents to read. And we also know that the benefits are going far beyond the single enrolled child, that older siblings are reading the books to younger siblings, and also parents are increasing their skills by reading the books. So this is our heat map right now of children that we've enrolled, which is concentrated in the city. There's some outside of the city because for evaluation purposes, we allowed children to stay in if they moved out. But there's still a lot of Hamilton County out there that we need to tackle. So right now we have about 11,000 children enrolled. There's 22,000 children less than 5 in Cincinnati, and there's 54,000 in the whole county. So our goal that we've been challenged with is to enroll 80% of children less than 5 in the county, which would get us between the 40 to 42,000 range. Our official launch date of the countywide program is going to be March 10th. Fran DeWine will come down for that event. And I think, we have a couple challenges. One is expanding and enrolling, which I think we'll have good success with. We already have a model. We have models to reach other children pairing with the library. And I think long-term what we want to make sure is that this program isn't, here today and gone tomorrow. We think once we get it established, we're going to continue to show results and people are going to really love the program. So our other long-term kind of project is to develop processes of long-term sustainability. And the first partner we have on board already is the Cincinnati Public School District. So from the beginning, as we started this pilot, our funders were talking with the school about this program, saying, we have a program that's going to reach children even before they get to preschool and help them be more ready for school. If we can show you that this will work, will you come on board as a partner? And they signed a resolution at a school board meeting the week before last to continue to support the program for about 10,000, our core group we have now from the pilot, so about 10,000 children. So. Carl Cologne is one of our also partners on the program statewide. And if you would like to say a couple words about the expansion, have him come up for a second.
Madam President, Commissioners, my name is Carl Cologne. I'm the director of the Greene County Public Library, and I'm here in my capacity today as the local librarian to Governor and Mrs. DeWine. I will add that although I am the Greene County librarian, I'm a proud graduate of St. Xavier High School and the University of Cincinnati College of Law, so it's nice to be home. Let's look at this from the community perspective. In Greene County, we started this program because we had a problem. The problem was that the money that we were spending on kids in kindergarten wasn't going where it should because we had kids arriving at the door who were not ready for kindergarten. Before you can be ready for kindergarten, you have to have acquired a set of skills that are called, we librarians call them pre-literacy skills. These are the skills that you have to have before you can be taught to read. This is knowing what a letter is, what a number is, that the letters and numbers go together with the pictures in the book to tell a story that you can understand. In the case of the Cologne children, it's knowing that books are something that you read and not something that you eat. These critical skills need to be acquired, as Dr. Zumla said, neurologically speaking, between birth and ideally age 3, but certainly by age 5. When Miss Parton saw that the kids in her home county of Sevier County, Tennessee, were coming to school not ready to be taught, she realized that the money being spent on public education couldn't do what it was supposed to do. She had a soft spot in her heart for literacy because her father couldn't read till the day he died. So she decided to become the book lady. You mentioned reading is fundamental, Commissioner. Reading is Fundamental did studies that showed that book ownership by children is one of the critical drivers of pre-literacy skill acquisition. Now, I'm a librarian where the books come out and books come back people. Owning books is an entirely different matter. A 2-year-old who owns a book develops a special relationship. I saw this in my own home when I had one daughter who was too old to be in the program and we started in Greene County, and another one who was 2 years old who was not. The first word she could read was her name, because her name was on the book, and her sister's wasn't. She used that driver to become literate. We launched the program in Greene County. We thought we had a good idea on our hands. We turned it on a Friday afternoon, we didn't tell anybody, and we went home. We thought we'd start on Monday. Somebody found out about it over the weekend, and we had 300 kids sign up by the time we got back on Monday. The program spread like wildfire, and now 60% of the children in Greene County, Ohio, below the age of 5 are in this program. The program represents a commitment to each child's success through reading. It's funded in a really interesting way. To be honest, most of the costs are paid for by the Dollywood Foundation. They take care of making sure that the books can be mailed. They make sure that the books are stamped, packaged, tracked, data tracked, the whole thing that goes with it. As a public librarian, I can tell you that when I tell you that the community cost for a child to be in the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which is $25 a year, or about $2.10 a book, I can promise you that I can't do that with $2.10. Miss Parton leverages the money. But instead of making the books free to kids, she decided to make them cheap. Because a community that has to reach, a community that has to stand up for literacy, makes a different commitment to its kids than folks who just get free stuff. So this all got started, and in Greene County we were raising the money, that $25 a year. Well, a set of local grandparents had grandkids in the program. And when they happened to have the grandkids living at home at that time, and each day, that one special day a month when Grandma or Grandpa would bring those books into those kids, the kids would go wild. After a while, Grandma got to thinking, you know, there's something really special here. I need to find out more about it. Grandma researched and researched, and then Grandma became First Lady. She reached out and realized that there was already a program in the state of Tennessee where they said, hey, you know what? We want to help our local communities. Not every community can raise that $25 per child, so we're going to create a foundation. This is what they did in Tennessee. We're going to create a foundation that pays half the cost of that local match. So instead of it being $25 per child per kid raised locally, which is what we've been having in Greene County, it then becomes $12.50 a child raised locally with a match to come from the state. Now in Tennessee, the funding for that came from a combination of legislative appropriation and private fundraising, big-scale private fundraising. In 2019, the Ohio Governor's Imagination Library Foundation was created to offer the same match, the same approach as in Tennessee. So now when a local community, Hamilton County for example, needs to raise money, instead of having to raise that $25 per child, they'll raise that $12.50, and then the Governor's Foundation will match that dollar for dollar to pay for the child to be in the program. Why? Because it shows the community's commitment to the success of each child. As I like to say, I'm not in the reading business, although I am a librarian. I'm in the community success business. That's what we're trying to help our kids toward. My county commissioners, in this case Commissioner Kugler, once came to me and he said, you know, Carl, I'm going to go to Texas. We live next to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. He said, I'm going to go to Texas and I'm going to try and get some of those folks to come up here and want to bring their businesses up here to be close to Wright-Patterson instead of the Air Force Base in Texas. He said, and you mean to tell me that I can tell the people in those communities that we're the kind of community that is committed to every child in our county below 5 getting a book a month, age appropriate, to start them on the road to reading success? You mean I can tell them that? And I said, yes, Commissioner. And he said, oh, this is going to be fun. People want to come to a community like that. Now, the families that are in the program are not charged for this. The community raises the money because the Dolly Parton program is ultimately about the community's commitment to kids. One question that I know frequently arises, so I'd like to just raise it myself and answer it, is the program means tested? And the answer is no, for a couple reasons. As a practical matter, at a local cost of $25 per child per year, it costs more to means test than it does to just give the kids the books. But more importantly, it treats the dignity of reading equally for every child. Price Hill, Indian Hill, it doesn't matter. Reading is a commitment that the community makes to each child and makes things happen. The reason I wanted to talk about the money a little bit is when you see Dr. Zumless's results, a swing 14% toward kindergarten readiness, that's a swing at $25 per child per year. Ask your superintendent of schools what a reading intervention specialist costs for a child who's not ready. And you realize it's not only a good thing to do, it's not only the kind thing to do, but it's the smart thing to do. Because each child that we set on the road to success at the neurologically appropriate time is a child that we will have an easier time helping on the road to success each step of the way as we go. We're very pleased with how the program is rolling out in Ohio. Since the foundation got rolling just a few months ago, more than 35,000 new children have enrolled in the program. Cuyahoga County has gone countywide. Franklin County has gone countywide. In Montgomery County, the Montgomery County Commissioners are part of the funding structure that has made that countywide program possible. The success is spreading throughout Ohio. Governor and Mrs. DeWine have a dream that every child in Ohio will be eligible to be part of this program, because every child in Ohio is worthy of our community commitment to their success. Thank you very much for your time and allowing me to address you. We'd be delighted to take your questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you all for being here. I actually do have a couple of questions. Congratulations on the results, first of all. I mean, I think the numbers speak for themselves. Yeah, it's just very impressive that you've got those kind of numbers in a 3-year time span. So you talked about Hamilton County and doing something countywide. Correct me if my math is incorrect, but if the reach is the 11,000, that's a countywide number right now?
Those are the number of children, yes, we have in the Imagination Library in the whole county.
Okay.
Yeah, we only have 11,000, and most of them are within the city of Cincinnati
right
now with our pilot, yep.
So potential reach, then you talked, and you've given us some numbers there, and then you talked about the goal being 40,000 or so. Talk to us a little bit, if you don't mind, about the funding structure of this, and the matching dollars, and who all, I know Children's is in the room, who are the partners, and what does the funding structure look like at this moment in time?
So at this moment, Children's has agreed to help us with our administrative cost and $25,000 for books for the next couple years to get us going. We have a grant from Scripps Howard and also PNC Grow Up Great for 2 years that are going to get us started. That will each, between the two, take care of about another 10,000 children. We have the partnership with Cincinnati Public Schools, which is going to pay for another 10,000. There's a lot of fundraising going on right now, and I just heard that we may have another large grant that's coming in to pay for about another 20 to 30,000 children in the county.
Okay, so I guess my question would be, as you move along, I would be most interested in knowing if there's any gap funding necessary. It sounds like you're doing some pretty aggressive fundraising, which I applaud. But if, I think maybe from my perspective, we can help spread the word and get kids enrolled for sure countywide. And then I'd be interested to know in a couple months as you move through this if there's some gap funding necessary, and know what Montgomery County is doing in that space. So hopefully you can give us that information as you move forward.
Definitely, yes.
Thank you. Vice President?
I was just going to see if she wanted to.
Do you have any questions or comments?
Congratulations on your outcomes.
Thank you.
This is good stuff. But I saw Melissa, and so Children's has provided an office. Okay, so that's where you're situated there.
Yeah.
Okay, and with other funders.
So Michael Fisher has agreed to do 3 years of somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000 a year for administrative support.
Okay.
And that will pay for the staff. Okay. And so with that staff capacity, we hope to spread to the county as well, and then Michael also just in the last few weeks also did $25,000 in books, the actual book cost on top of that. So as our friend from Greene County was describing, Governor DeWine put a line item in the budget, and the General Assembly kept it there. I think it's in the neighborhood of $5 million. For the biennium, for any county that, for 50% of the books. But the other 50% has to be raised locally. So we are getting, that's what we're trying to do, to draw down the governor's line item. So I think So there will be a big announcement and a big official rollout on March the 10th. Fran DeWine will be in town to do that. We've invited Laura Mitchell from Cincinnati Public Schools to join us, school board members, since they did the resolution to do the Cincinnati Public Schools books for next school year. We should also mention that the original funders of this pilot was Leslie Maloney and Every Child Capital, which is a coalition of funders that include Greater Cincinnati Foundation, United Way, and the Hale Foundation, I think, are the three major ones. So it's a great partnership, and we just kind of got lucky that the governor and his wife have chosen this initiative as the legacy that they want to build for the state.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, I totally agree with you about the gap funding. I know there is some gaps and as it relates to funding, so getting specific about that would be very helpful. I'm looking at the agencies that are involved already, Interact for Health, United Health Group, and I want to see Hamilton County on here. And that's what I'm going to be working with the commissioners on. And as we look at the potential reach of 54,000 in Hamilton County, we want to see that cut in half or completely if we can. So I know funding is necessary, and it's great that you're getting the grants and fundraising, but I'd like to have our footprint on there that Hamilton County is pushing this effort also. So I'll be working toward, I'm sure the commission, as we looked at the outcomes are so great, we want to have our name on here. So just want to thank them for coming.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you all for coming in.
Madam President?
Yes.
I'm sorry, just a real, and on that note, so I was also just looking at the partnerships related to enrollment, and obviously in addition to county library systems, counties operate a variety of services that have direct contact with children in young ages, development and disability services, job and family services, public health, et cetera. Are there any, either here or in other counties, are there any structured relationships with any of those agencies at this point that you're aware of, at least?
Are you thinking JFS in particular?
JFS.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking of DDS in
DDS,
particular, the Help Me Grow program, things like that. That whether there would be structured involvement. This is as a toolkit or a tool and a resource for some of those programs.
Definitely, yeah. So libraries, but definitely Tiana has done a lot of work already talking like with 4C, and definitely we've talked about JFS. So yes, any agency that we can partner with to get the word out and also bring enrollment in children to us is definitely something that we'd love to look into, yeah.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Great, thanks, Melissa.
All right, thank you. Thanks so
Thanks.
much for coming in. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the books. These are nice books. These are way better than the books I got when I was a kid. Of course, I was one of 8, and they were all hand-me-downs, so. All right. The next item on the agenda is the Justice Center Expansion Grant Agreement, and I know Administrator Aludo is going to give us some background on this one.
Just very briefly, so as the board is aware, back in 2017, we applied for a state capital grant for expansion, for a 92-bed expansion of the Hamilton County Justice Center. As the board is very well aware, the capacity and the population of the Justice Center has been one of the continual stressors on county operations from just a practical perspective as well as a financial perspective. This was a great opportunity for us to expand the capacity of the Justice Center in partnership with the state, also from the perspective of providing additional treatment at the Justice Center. So on Thursday's agenda, while we didn't have time to get it on formally on the formal agenda, I was going to bring by leave the grant agreement with the state for the $2.5 million capital grant, now that we're getting ready to move forward with things. But just from a transparency perspective, wanted to provide an update on the project in advance of that happening on Thursday. At your dais, you have the actual grant agreement that I'd be bringing forward on Thursday, but in the meantime, have Bert Watts with County Facilities and Major Turner with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, who are just going to provide us with a brief update to entertain any questions in advance of this coming to the board on Thursday. So,
Great.
Bert?
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Bert Watts. I'm an Assistant Director of Project Management in the County Facilities Department. Been working with the Sheriff's Office and the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction for quite a while to develop this plan for the project and get everyone's approval to move forward. So I wanted to give kind of a rundown of what the project looks like and kind of where we're at in the process and where we're looking at moving forward. So this is a view of outside the Justice Center. The only thing that's different, that will be different from our project, is the building on the left. That's the North Tower. The windows you see kind of in the middle there, those will be new. Those will be in the new housing areas. This is the project need, which kind of goes over what Jeff had just summarized for the project. Project progress, this is just kind of a summary of all the steps that we took to get to the point where we're at today. The project is currently out on the street for construction bids right now. The bid opening, or the bids are due from construction contractors on March 25th. Okay. Project deliverables, again, this kind of goes through what at the end of the project, this is what the Sheriff's Office and the Department of Corrections, what we've discussed with them, what the project's going to look like and provide at the completion of the project. So these are the two locations within the Justice Center, the two towers. They'll be on the 3rd floor in each tower. They're currently more like administrative areas within the building that we're going to be converting. It's kind of the floor plan, how many beds in each will be added to each tower. There's a rendering of what the new housing areas will look like. Same picture from before. And this is an interior view of what we hope that they look like at the end. Then our future milestones, like I said, the bids from construction contractors are due in March. We'll go through the construction contract approval process, and then we hope to, we anticipate that the project can be completed by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So that is the overview of the construction project.
Great, thank you.
So Major Turner's here to answer any operational questions. I'm here to answer any construction questions.
So I just want to say that when we embarked upon this, it was a rather out-of-the-box way to approach two things, the jail overcrowding problem and trying to get people treatment for addiction or mental health issues while they were in the facility. And so we asked the state to partner. The state had, to my knowledge, never done a grant like this through the capital budget. And so they took a good hard look at it. Now other counties, by the way, are asking for dollars for jails in the most recent capital cycle because we had some success with ours and we got the 2.5 from the state or we would have never been able to do this. And so the important thing, though, I think to note is that through the partnership we're able to move forward, but the space that you put on the screen is very different from the rest of the jail, wherein it is more of a dormitory style setting. They have done this in, where's the county in? Kenton County, and I went to visit that one. And it's set up like a dorm so that people can interact with one another. It's cheaper to staff. It is. And there's a lot of peer-to-peer support going on and a lot of other things going on because it's a supportive setting for people that are in recovery. And so that's what is so unique and so special, I think, about this space. And instead of building a whole new facility, we've just retrofitted part of the jail that we already have. So I'm very excited about this program. I don't know if you can tell, but we fought a little bit for this money because it was so out of the box, and we got it. I know there was a delay. I'm not going to ask you to speak at length about the delay, but the delay was not on the part of Hamilton County.
Not our fault.
I know it was God love the state. They gave us the money, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But there was a little bit of a delay in getting some of the approvals that we needed. But here we are, and we're ready to go out to bid and get this thing going, hopefully opened up by the end of the year. We did have a tour of the facility. It's been a while back, and we had a press tour, we had the commissioners come, the staff came. We should probably do that again whenever there is that moment in time where it starts to take shape, so that we can all kind of get a better understanding of what this looks like, what the investment is. But I am just very excited about what this is going to do relative to the jail population and those people that really do need the recovery support. Also, the sales tax increase helps us with some of the personnel issues to staff this extra space for the extra 90 beds. So I just want to commend you both for sticking in there on this one. I know it's been a bit of a slog, but I think in the end this is going to be really transformational for not only the jail itself, but the people that are incarcerated and need that kind of support. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the overview. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Madam President. Anything safe and new and refreshing and quality improvement is great in the jail. My concern, I guess, is the fact that 92 more beds is great. It's still going to leave us, I'm looking at your first statement under project need. It was built in 1985 to house a total of 875 inmates. The current number of inmates is 1,600. So when you add that 92 on, you end up with 967 inmates, which still leaves 833 that shouldn't be there. So I'm just trying to figure out how do we, and it's not that we want to build more jails. We don't want anybody to be in them, but we know that we have to have them. So we still have over 800 that are still overcrowded. And I don't know how we rectify that. I know how hard the money was to get. And then it finally came through, and I'm really happy for that. But I guess a bigger strategy, not on you guys' part, but we have additional programs to keep people out and to try to maybe have them at home instead of in jail. But that is a concern because it's still a big number that's still going to be overcrowded. So,
I couldn't agree with you more. One of the reasons we're so excited about this program is we feel it'll help reduce recidivism and close that revolving door. You know, when Sheriff Neal got elected, that was one of the big things. You want to close the revolving door. I think this is going to help.
I'm sure it'll help,
We
yeah.
got the female recovery pod. We started the male recovery pod. We got the vet pod. We got detox. We're doing all that stuff. We got the GED program. We want to do everything we can to prevent people from coming to jail. Because I agree with you, jail was designed for 800-something people. Today, the count was 1358 at the Justice Center. That's more than that jail was built for.
Yeah.
It taxes the elevators, the plumbing system, all that stuff. But we're convinced that the things we're doing to try to reduce recidivism is working. You know, and we had Dr. Latessa come in and evaluate our programs. And this is one thing he talks about in his letter. You should have a better space to conduct this kind of treatment. What we're doing now is we have it spread over the jail. We're working with Talbot House, and one of our counselors has to go from floor to floor to treat people. This space, everybody will be in the same area. It'll be concentrated on treatment. There won't be outside, excuse me, it won't be outside influences, other inmates in other pods. It'll be strictly treatment. So I applaud all the people who worked on this project.
Absolutely,
To be honest with you, it shocked me when the Treehouse Center staff were telling me this is what we were going to do. And got the money. I applaud everybody for participating in this because it could be huge for the Justice Center.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. This is exciting. In addition to things like the Women's Pod, the Vets Pod, the Reentry Program, in these 3 years, things have really turned around where the priority has become serving the person inside. So I really appreciate it, and thank you for what you do.
And just as, by way of context, all of those, I think, are having an impact. Reentry, obviously, right? Pre-arrest diversion is also, that's being piloted right now to keep people out of jail to begin with.
Yes,
So hopefully there will be a positive impact there. But Jeff, remind us how many times the community has been asked to build a new facility, and how many times that effort has failed.
I've been a part of
Over
two of
the
those
years,
over
yeah.
the past decades, and I know there's been even more than that. So,
Yeah.
and it's,
So it's a tough spot to be in, I think, because clearly, when put in front of the voters, they do not think that a new jail is a priority. And so we are trying to, I think, accomplish the next best thing, which is expansion of the facility we've got, even though it's challenging and it doesn't do all that we would like it to do. Maybe some of these other programs will feed into that and try to keep that population down, because you are correct. It is a problem, and it's taxing, and we just saw that issue with the elevators. I mean, because it's a fairly old facility, so, but anyway, thank you for being here. Thanks for explaining this to us. So, Jeff, the resolution will be in front of us on Thursday?
resolution will be in front of you on Thursday, and again, this is just a resolution to allow me to sign to accept the grant from the state. Typically, don't try to bring $2.5 million contracts before the board at buy leave, but sometimes in order to accept money, we have to do that. So we're going to do that this
that's right.
do that this Thursday. But I just wanted to make sure from a transparency
We'll be happy
perspective,
to
we got
accept
some
that
eyes on it. First,
2.5 from the state.
also, do just want to say that as we move forward with this, especially as we went through the past couple of budget cycles and looking at the different mandated services that we have to run in the county, and the board wrestling with the concept of, it's one thing to have to provide a mandated service, it's another thing to have the policy discussion about how do you want to provide, in what manner do you choose to provide that mandated service. So this is just one additional way that I think the Board of Commissioners has partnered with the Sheriff's Office and with the courts to look at different ways to run the Justice Center in a way that is more sustainable for this community. We have the expansion focused on treatment. We've got the expansion of the reentry, the Office of Reentry. We have the board's investment in the Community Alternative Sentencing Center, along with the sheriff and the courts. The budget that we just passed includes additional operational funding for additional mental health wraparound services within the Justice Center. So there's a lot of good stuff going on within the Justice Center designed to continue to lower that recidivism rate and make sure that we as a county are doing this in the most sustainable way possible for the community.
Thank you. Yeah, it is a different approach. It's a different look for us, so.
In the past 3 years.
That's right, that's right. So, thank you. Thank you all. Do let us know, though, if there is an opportunity to tour as work gets underway, let us know because I do think it would be beneficial for everybody to kind of see firsthand what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Okay? All right, great. Thank you. Oh, we do have a speaker's card on this issue. You guys can have a seat. Stick around, though, if there are any questions. Is he still in the room? Derek Lassinger? Did he leave? Okay. All right, well, I'll hold the card in case he comes back. All right, well, in that case, thank you for your presentation. We appreciate it. Very good. So our third item is the SkyStar Observation Wheel update. Administrator Alluro, I'm going to kick this to you.
Just very, very briefly. So I think SkyStar has been down at the banks for roughly a year and a half now. So both under a county agreement and one prior to that with the chamber. I think it's become a welcome and recognizable addition to the bank's community. The current wheel that we have down there, as the board is aware, is a traveling wheel. It was meant to move on after a certain period of time and be replaced by a more permanent structure. Todd Schneider with SkyStar is here to walk us through some plans moving forward, timing, that type of thing. Just wanted to provide the board with an update on that.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for being here.
Todd Schneider, managing partner of SkyStar Wheel. I'm happy today to introduce you to the yet-to-be-named observation wheel that will take SkyStar's place. And as Jeff mentioned, SkyStar was always meant to travel, but our schedule now has become clear, and we're excited to introduce this new giant wheel that's going to take its place. One thing that's unique about this wheel that will be unlike any other wheel in the United States, first of its kind, is it is a steel cable design instead of heavy steel spokes. So it gives it a spokeless effect. And with lighting along the ring beams and the gondolas, at some points in time it will look like a suspended O in the skyline. This wheel is 180 feet tall. It has 36
she
passenger.
Just said OH. You know you're in Ohio, right?
Right. Yeah. I know. Could be the Ohio I don't know. We're playing with it. But 30 six-passenger climate-controlled gondolas. The wheel, a ride will still consist of 4 rotations. It'll last about 12 to 15 minutes. It will, we're first and foremost a family-friendly attraction. I always like to say grandkids to grandparents appreciate what we have to offer. We do not pair up strangers. If you and your significant other show up, you and your family show up, you get your own private climate-controlled gondola. We're going to have a state-of-the-art light show on this. This will allow us the ability to do gender reveals, which are popular now. A lot of group sales, corporate events. Here's an image of it in Asia. Different perspective. The new wheel will sit approximately where the current wheel is. The current wheel is going to San Francisco for the 150th anniversary of the Golden Gate Park. SkyStar is going to commence its takedown on March 2nd. So we have about 2 weeks. If you have not ridden SkyStar yet, it'd be a good time to go down there. And then the site will be dormant for about 6 months, and then we'll start site work and with the target new opening date of March 5th of 2021. Off of Freedom Way, we'll have ticketing on the right side, plaza area, and then a small walk-up concession on the left side of the project with the wheel centered on the lot. We're working with, we have dialogue with the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center about creating an accommodation ticket, also coordinating some school field trips. We'll create an educational component to the science and the engineering behind the wheel. We think it's a good add-on to when the kids are at the National Underground Railroad to come over and have a ride on the Ferris wheel. We think that's a kind of a robust offering that we'll be able to offer to the community for school groups. We'll also look to create a combination ticket with the carousel and other attractions in the region. That's it. But we look forward to be in the frame between the football stadium and the baseball stadium at the banks with the new music venue coming on. This is a long-term commitment to Hamilton County and the region, and this will allow us to have a more robust marketing efforts. Really go after groups to get them down there, the far reaches of the suburbs to get them into the city, get them to the banks. We'll coordinate some dinner and rides with some of the local restaurants at the banks. And we had a successful combination ticket last year with the Cincinnati Reds in their Hall of Fame. We'll continue that and look for other opportunities in the market to, always promote the region and get people down.
So what is the life expectancy of the new wheel?
About 40 years. There are Ferris wheels out there that are 100 years old. At the end of the day, it's parts and steel and motors, and if you take care of it or replace the ones needed, the life shelf is indefinite. But Ferris wheels have been around since 1895. They're still in fad, but there's one in Austria that's over 100 years old.
Okay. I just want to, because this one, the one that we have now was expected to be temporary, as you noted, but the one that you will install by next year will be permanent.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And the difference is we'll have a below-grade concrete foundation for the permanent wheel, whereas the SkyStar wheel is on wheels and trailers,
Okay.
and it's meant to move. Whereas this will be a permanent project.
And Madam President,
Yeah.
just a tag on to that, because as it relates to the traveling nature, the understanding that we've received is that, and while we've always been a little bit flexible with when SkyStar was going to move on because we just didn't know when the next engagement was, the story is that actually there was someone out here on the banks from the San Francisco Parks and Rec Department who just happened to see the wheel and said, we need this out in San Francisco for the opening of or for the anniversary of the Golden Gate Park out there. So just the exposure that this has provided has been a really neat thing as well, and that's just neat to hear about.
Yeah, I think it's, the wheel at the banks is getting maybe more coverage than you guys might realize. There's a lot of eyeballs on it, a lot of people talk about it. As Jeff just said, I mean, someone from San Francisco Parks and Rec was here and saw it and prompted a call and dialogue with us, but I think it's just all positive stuff, and we've seen that in other markets where the wheel becomes kind of an iconic structure of the city, and we expect, the change to the skyline with this new addition is really going to be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any questions or comments?
Just a comment. While the wheel is down, are you going to do like a county-wide effort for naming rights of the?
Yeah, we've kicked around that idea. I think that is a neat idea. As I said, it's yet to be named, and we're open for ideas. And if we can engage the public in some type of naming contest, I think that'd be exciting, and we definitely want to pursue those kinds of avenues.
Thank you.
No comments. I think it's cool though.
Thank you.
And Madam President, just one, as we get into a period of a little bit of downtime on SkyStar-related things, we'll continue to work some administrative angles. I know they have some work they have to do with the city. We are, as we continue to move forward with our new banks cooperative agreement with the city of Cincinnati, we have some revenue sharing with the city that we're looking to partner with them on as it relates to the ticket sales, et cetera. So we'll keep moving those conversations forward, but there may be some administrative actions for the board to take between now and next year on this. So I just wanted to flag that for the board moving forward into the next, it won't be in the next couple of months, but maybe mid-year or towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I don't know if it's a question for you or you, about if you're going to build a whole new wheel, how disruptive is that to the other properties nearby, or is it a pretty small footprint?
No more disruptive than the setup that we had down originally with the SkyStar wheel. The wheel is manufactured off-site and then delivered to site in pieces and erected. This wheel will take about 6 weeks to assemble once the parts hit the site, whereas the SkyStar wheel takes about a week. And that, again, is back to the design of SkyStar. It's meant to be mobile, but about a 6-week schedule out there, but it should not be too disruptive.
Okay. And I expect that all the vendors and the other players down there will be notified of all of that.
They'll be notified, and we've been in touch with, just over the course of the last 6 months, with the various stakeholders around there, in addition to Nickel, which coordinates a lot of the commercial activities. And there's really nothing but support on all of this, so I think this will be a positive thing from everyone's perspective.
So, Madam President, so construction of the new wheel will take place about this time next year?
Yes, we would. Yes, we would be under construction with a March 5th opening date.
Mm-hmm. So to be ready for the summer and the spring.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
By opening day, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
All right. Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you for coming in. We really appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. All right. We have nothing else on our agenda. Anything else for the good of the cause?
I have nothing.
Nothing.
All right. Very good. I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
Yes.
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 Thank you.